Good morning, everybody, and welcome to In the Kitchen Cooking with Dale. I could sure use some flapjacks. Does anybody even say flapjacks anymore? Maybe it's a Canadian word like, hey, let's get some flapjacks, eh? Anyway, we are in the kitchen, yes, but not for cooking, unfortunately. Matter of fact, it's just the opposite. The problem with this stove is that it is not cooking. There appears to be something wrong with the oven, and we're going to fix it. So stick around for that. All right, so we're going to get into it. We got to move this stove out first. Now, I am not an appliance repairman. This is my disclaimer. I don't fix appliances, but I played one on YouTube. So don't try this at home, because electric stove, gas stove, whatever stove, if you're not comfortable with doing this kind of stuff, this thing could kill you. Well, here are 3 tools that we're going to use on this little job. The first one is going to be a voltage detector, which can warn you of voltage that might be harmful to you without actually coming into contact with wires. We're going to use a circuit tester that plugs into the outlet. It can not only show you the presence of voltage, but can also detect whether or not the circuit is wired correctly. And finally, we're going to use a basic multimeter. I won't go into detail about that, but these are 3 tools that any DIYer should just about have. The voltage detector will let you determine if there is active voltage in the area that you're working in without actually coming in contact with anything harmful. Simply activate it by pushing the button on the end, and it lets you know that it's ready with a tone plus the light. If you get near or a wire that is carrying electricity, it lets you know. Now, in this instance, let's trip this breaker. Now, it's safe to work in this area. Once power is returned, we get a tone and a light that lets us know to be careful. Circuit tester. And there's a legend on the label that lets us know what the lights mean. In this particular instance, it's correctly wired. But if there is no electricity, then we get nothing. Okay, that's how that works. And then finally, in our case, we're going to perform a test on this, what appears to be a bad element, to see if it's any good, according to the paperwork that is on the back of the oven. Other 2 tools that we're going to use here, you guys will probably remember this Bauer utility kitchen type screwdriver. If you don't, I'll include a link to the video in a card above and in the comments below. You'll remember I modified this so that I can carry bits on it. And I can charge it with a USB charger. I've also got an assortment of 1/4-inch bits. And I've also got, although it's not in frame, a hex to 1/4-inch adapter for this screwdriver. let's get going. Okay, why are we opening this up? Well, I cheated. I already happen to know that the wires that connect to my heating element that I'm going to be pulling off and testing are not long enough to pull through the insulation and back of the stove and disconnect them inside there. You have to do it from back here. So again, you know, you don't want to go really crazy. Just, you know, a hand screw gun or, you know, something real light duty like this, or use the old manual one, because you don't want to strip this sheet metal screw, because you'll be really sorry if you do that. Okay, so I think everything is loose, and this should at least fold out a little bit if we just lift it up. And we're not going to take it all the way off, because I think that would require taking loose the strain bracket for that AC cord, and we don't really want to do that. Instead, if you don't mind, I'd like you guys to kind of come over here and hold this for me. So here's a tip. We've already been in here, and we know that we have a couple of wires that go in here. And again, I've already tested for the presence of electricity to make sure, even though I unplugged this. And we know that this is the connector, or the connectors. You can hear it banging in there. You know that? That's our element in there. It's already, the screws are loose on it, so we're just going to go ahead and disconnect this. And here is a tip for you. Take a picture of this before you disconnect it to see how it connects, what color the wires are, etc., etc. Now, we should be ready to go. Okay, we've removed the rack from the oven. And we could see that I was wrong. I did not remove those screws. I must have put them back in at some point. But with some light in here from our trusty dusty Harbor Freight, light, LED light, we could see the damage, if I can get my big hand out of the way, right there. And I'm imagining that that is what's wrong with this element. And I'm betting when we test it, we're not going to get anything. Let's get our screwdriver and pick those two screws out. We've got our screws out now, okay? So we should be able to just pull this right on out. We'll get down on the bench and give her a test. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain or his disgusting oven. I have been working on trying to get this cleaned up a little bit. We'll be right back. All right, I've gotten into the instruction text sheet that was so thoughtfully mailed to my oven. And I looked in this test procedures for other equipment on the oven. And this looks like our problem element right here. And it is supposed to have approximately 24 ohms when it's working correctly, and infinite or no ohms when it's shorted or broken. So we're going to test these two nodes right here and see what kind of conductor we get off of them. We'll be right back after we set up for that shot. Okay, so now we have our multi-tester out here. We're going to go ahead and turn it on to ohms. And we're getting 0. We're going to zero it out there. Let's give it a try and see what we get. I don't know if I could do this and hold on to it at the same time. Will you be able to see it right there? No, you will not. Hopefully you can see that. Trying not to touch it ourselves. We're getting nothing.
Well, there's your problem right there, Vern. See that little wire right there? Looks like it's got a little board in it. My daddy used to work on them.
This is going to be our new part. I told you someday or somehow we would be back out here in the shop. Who knew it was so that we could make cookies? This isn't very cooperative, one-handed. Wonder how many new subscribers I get for a heating element for an LG oven unboxing. There's your problem. Should I give proper instructions on making sure that you remove it from the plastic before you install it and turn on the oven? Now myself, I think I'm just going to mostly open it, but kind of use the plastic to keep from handling it so I don't get any of the oil from my hands or anything like any of the tools or anything like that on it, because that would smell. Let's go in and stick this on the tester and see what kind of reading we get for it. Okay, so I've brought in the new element and I've got it sitting on top of the old one, the lazy no account one. Hopefully it won't teach it any of its bad habits. I've already turned the meter on ohms so that I could make sure I had my hands free. Here's the new one. It's like 23.8, 29, 24 ohms exactly. It's going to bounce around a little bit. Let's go to no account. There is no change on the meter whatsoever. Let's look at our new guy one more time. Funny how it kind of hesitates for a minute. But approximately 24 ohms. We'll even take 23.6 or 23.5, 23.3. So, we do have a good part. And we'll go ahead and get that installed. We'll bring you back. Well, hold on, Hossie. You ain't going to do anything until you get these connections remade here. Again, making sure that nobody came along and helped you out by plugging the stove back in, or you're going to have a hair-raising experience. So make sure you test that out. Now, it's a really good idea, especially if you have little ones around or cats that don't have a bouffant hairstyle right now, to go ahead and close this up and put at least one screw in there before you test it out. And you know how that goes. We're not going to put all these screws back and push it back in place and just all hope that everything works. We're going to check it. We'll be right back with that. Okay, well, we're going to plug back in. And she sang a little song for us when we did. Verify that we're getting power. The appliance. Oh yeah, she's warning us. Now let's get our valuable Harbor Freight flashlight. We don't want to burn up the mail that our stove got. That might get us in trouble. Got that old-time VCR blink to it. One last thing, let's check the oven. Make sure we put nothing in there. Close it up. I'm going to clear everything here. Both ovens. We got a time on there. Looks good. Bake. 350, we'll take that. Hot, hot, hot. Just had to get one little shot there for you. And when it came to temperature, it looks orange. Well, there's another job done. So, if I could just get one of you guys to come over there and set this clock for me, I'd be golden. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this little adventure, everyone. Just a few more tips before we leave. Make sure that you don't have any screws left over. And if you can't find where the extra ones go, maybe a second set of eyes wouldn't be a bad idea. Another tip is, if you have a label on your part like I did on this one, go ahead and cut that off and tuck it into that envelope on the back of the stove so that you'll have the part number the next time you might need to replace that. Another tip is, make sure that the oven's empty before you plug back in electricity or turn on the oven. And the biggest tip of all, if you're not completely and totally comfortable with doing this kind of work, then defer it to an expert. And that's the best piece of advice I can give you. That's going to be wrapping it up for this video. I really appreciate all you new subscribers, and I hope I didn't bore you too much with this video. It was kind of cool to actually get out there and do something, right? Don't just want to be that guy that shows a good tool deal every once in a while. Until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and also please share my video with your friends. And if you'd like to continue receiving content as it becomes available, click on that bell notification down in the lower right corner. Thanks again for stopping in, and whatever day your weekend falls on, make it a good one. You all take care.